world to participate as well. So with that, I'm not sure if I should introduce Glee again, but I think I'm going to talk a little bit about Skip and Marge, even though they can't be here. So we all know Glee. Glee's a 12th generation, Newburyport native, loves dead people, fixes their gravestones. What else? What else can we say about that? Loves dogs. What else? All right, fabulous. And is my, fifth cousin? All right, we figured it out. Okay, Skip and Marge Most have been researching Newburyport's history since moving here in 1995. So they're relative newcomers. Skip has given lectures for the Newburyport Preservation Trust, Custom House Maritime Museum, Newburyport Public Library, etc. They have written an incredible number of books, many of which can be found at the sale table. My goodness, their bio is impressive. And if you don't know them, they're also some of the loveliest, kindest people in the city. So take a minute to keep them in your thoughts, and I will turn this right over to you, Glee.
Sharon Spieldana put this slideshow together, and beautiful graphic designer. I was just proud of myself that I had a template and there was other colors. Usually it's just a white background for my slideshows. And it's like, wow. And then but this slideshow is beautiful. All right. So this Marge and Skip, they've spent well over thousands of hours in the library archives. And for 3 years, one of their projects was to inventory the archives. They don't have library staff to do that. And they spent 3 years picking off every shelf, one book, one file at a time, and inputting it and double checking to make sure that the library had the information. Okay? All right, so Marge and Skip both, they moved here in the 1990s, they retired, and how they found Newburyport was they used to spend summers in Maine, many, many years. And they were coming up from Connecticut, and they would go on 495, and it would go up to Maine. Well, it all 495 goes around Newburyport. And one of their friends said, hey, have you stopped in Newburyport? They said, no, where's Newburyport? They stopped and they visited and said, hey, we're gonna retire because they've got a son and daughter-in-law up in Maine, and then they have a daughter down in Connecticut, and they thought, well, that's in between. So they chose Newburyport, and they immediately dove into Newburyport history. Okay, is this moving? Oh, you can move. And,
Is there a magic word?
okay, you can do it.
Yeah, do the side of the nose thing.
Okay. Okay, so a little bit about, you can go ahead. There we go. Okay. So Skip and Marge, again, they've done so much historical research, writing, and lecturing. Over 30 years, they started to do work in genealogy down south. And they edited in last 2022, Legendary Newburyporters, a chronicle of achievements in the 18th and 19th centuries. Did anybody see that display down at the Custom House? It was beautiful. Yeah, Jeff Briggs created many miniature sculptures of well-known Newburyporters. And the Moats went through that entire catalog and they edited it. 2019, they received the Newburyport Preservation Trust Award for the historical research. 18, Donna Holiday awarded, former mayor Donna Holiday awarded the Moats for the Distinguished Service Award for their promotion of art and history in Newburyport. And since 1995, the Moats have been active with the Newburyport Art Association, the Museum of Old Newbury, the Custom House, Newburyport Preservation Trust, and they've been doing special projects at the library for over 13 years. Okay, so here's many of their books. You can see on the left is their earlier publication, and on the right, earlier publications that Marge did for when they were living in other areas of the U.S. So Butcher Baker and Candlestick Maker. Yes. This is, it's really cool for researchers. It's really got some good information. Love it. And it's from the 1850 census. And what it does, it lists, they took the information log and put it down in a book form. And it's a federal census for Newburyport and shows the population of 9,500 residents. And it's comprised of over 4,000 white males, 5,000 white females, 23 colored males. Now that question came up. This is 1850, and it's 23 colored males and 16 colored females. So you've got less than 50 in 1850. And there were 1,900 families and 1,400 dwellings in the city. So it really gives you some good information. And they put it in book form. And so they've got a list of names. Daniel Carhill, 31, male, he's a fireman. And then there's another, for example, Martha Can, and she's white, 7 years old, and she's from Nova Scotia. Okay, so it's really a great book, and it's focused on 1850. Okay, and here's some other books that they have helped with, incredible amount. The Newburyport Art Association, right here up in the corner. Familiar with it, down on Water Street. Gives a nice history, have any interest in it. 1948, this is when the Art Association was established. And the first expedition they held was at the courthouse on Bartlett Mall. And they rented space, they didn't have a building yet, they rented space on Threadneedle Alley, off of State. And they also, then again, rented space in the Marine Society, which was just a couple buildings down from Threadneedle. They rented space at the YW, and finally the Newburyport Art Association was incorporated, and they purchased the building at 65 Water Street, where it is now. Now this is the 1960s, and what was happening, the late 1960s, what was happening in downtown Newburyport? Urban renewal. Though the Art Association wasn't in the downtown technical area, the Art Association was one of the leaders in restoring the, I think it's the oldest building on the waterfront. And so they were one of the leaders. So this is the book about the history of the Art Association. Then we have Peter Fudge. Love Peter Fudge. Peter wrote articles in the Daily Herald, and he's reminiscing because he left on a ship and didn't come back for over 40 years. So he comes back to Newburyport, and he writes in 1858, or explanation. In 1812, Mr. Fudge sailed from this port in a ship belonging to the late Moses Brown, since which time no tidings were had of him until his return. So he disappeared on the ship, and they didn't hear from him. This is funny. His wife was married twice after his departure. And some years since, she took her flight through death's vaulted changes. 10 years have rolled over the head of the returned wanderer, and now as the eye dims and the heart grows old and slow, the limbs stiffen and the sunburned locks become thin, the recollections of his birthplace and his boyish sports. So he's writing articles about his memories of over 40 years. And he's asking, he's walking through the streets and he says, well, you know, where's Davenport, and where's the Tracys, and where's the Jacksons? And the people are saying, well, they've all died. You know, so he's in a time warp. But here